What school won't tell you. Lesson 3. Hi guys! By now you know about Billy Edward Albert Meyer, the Swiss man who entertains contacts with extraterrestrial human beings from the Plejaren. The Plejarens reside on a planet not unlike Earth called Era. Era is located in a dimension that is slightly off into the future by a fraction of a second. What is it like to be in contact with people from another world? Find out who those extraterrestrials are and the purpose for their visit. How do their spacecrafts work? Can we assume aliens are what science fiction films make them out to be? How close is our science fiction to actual reality, and what is way off?
What's the nearest habitable planet?
To the ordinary average human being, the vast distances that need to be traversed for interstellar space travel are impossible to grasp, let alone ways to actually cross them. The concept overburdens people's imagination and simply exceeds the limits of their vision.
To boldly go where no one has gone before.
Do humans of Earth seriously consider shooting a few oversized rockets into the sky to be the final word in space travel?
Traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, boy.
Ideas fueled the progress of so many science fiction novelists and filmmakers who gave some serious thought to just how such a propulsion system might actually work.
Leaving exospace. 3, 2, 1, exit.
The Plejarens are able to jump with their ships from regular space into a so-called hyperspace. However, the reality of it differs from popular movies such as Star Wars or Star Trek. Upon entering hyperspace, space and time are reduced to zero, so any distance in space can be traversed in zero time. This option allows the Plejarens to jump from one side of the universe to the other within a fraction of a second. The movie Event Horizon introduces a system pretty close to the actual facts.
Ship doesn't really go faster than light. What it does is it creates a dimensional gateway that allows it to jump instantaneously from one point of the universe to another light years away.
How?
Imagine for a minute that this piece of paper, this attractive piece of paper, represents space-time, and you want to get from point A here to point B there. Now, what's the shortest distance between 2 points?
A straight line.
Wrong. The shortest distance between 2 points is 0, and that's what the gateway does. It folds space so that point A and point B coexist in the same space and time. When the spacecraft passes through the gateway, space returns to normal.
But the Plejaren technology does evolve all the time. A few decades ago, they had to use their regular propulsion to travel 3.5 hours away from any planets or solid matter before jumping into hyperspace, so nothing else gets sucked in. By now, they have not only eliminated that problem, but now they have constructed a device that allows them to open portals to remote destinations that can now be bridged with a single step. These portals are very similar to those shown in the movie Avengers Endgame. Unlike the movie version, the actual Plejaren portals rely on highly advanced technology, but are controlled through a person's thoughts. The Plejaren's ability to manipulate space and time doesn't merely open up interstellar space travel, it also allows them to travel through time. Unfortunately, the topic of time travel is so incredibly complex that it would warrant its own dedicated video. Let it just be said that it is not possible to change the past, like we've seen in movies like First Contact.
That's what they came here to do, stop First Contact.
One can also spend very limited time in a different time period.
Mr. Data, laying a course for the 24th century. I suspect our future is there waiting for us.
Course laid in, sir.
Make it so.
The Plejaren also use another transport system one terrestrial man may know all too well. Who hasn't ever dreamed of being beamed from one location to another like we've seen in countless Star Trek TV shows and movies? The Plejaren use this exact system to transport people, only their way of beaming is a lot faster than the process we know from Star Trek. Needless to say, this endeavor requires precise calculations to avoid any mishaps. Billy once played with a transporter mere seconds before he was beamed from the ship back to the Earth and found himself atop a pine tree he managed to grab onto in the last second. You have probably wondered why the Plejarens have never shown themselves in public and only contact Billy away from public scrutiny. To answer this, we first need to find out what it actually means to be in contact with beings from another world. While older science fiction films used to depict extraterrestrials somewhat reasonably,
my mission here is not to solve your petty squabbles. It concerns the existence of every last creature on Earth.
filmmakers came up with some creative creatures over the last few decades. The so-called aliens have been reduced to creatures intent on invading Earth, hunting humans, slimy horror monsters, or drop-dead gorgeous girls eager to procreate.
What is it?
Shall I leave a message?
Yeah. Tell him he's about to copulate with a creature from outer space.
I want a baby.
Even though the universe is filled with all kinds of life forms of various disposition, Billy never actually encountered any monsters as seen in movies during his big voyage through the universe and beyond. So we don't have to live in fear of visitors, for our solar system is actually very, very remote. Any official contact, as seen in the film Star Trek First Contact, would be way too soon, as humans of Earth and especially their governments are not ready by a long shot.
They're really from another world.
Live long and prosper.
They would try to steal the friendly extraterrestrials' technology and spread their barbaric ways throughout the universe. Endless conquests, pathological surveillance, and discourse throughout the entire universe would ensue. The same sad state of affairs we have on this planet. The Plejaren lady, Semiazi, addressed that very issue during the Third Contact on February 8, 1975, very clearly.
Without exception, all governments on Earth are staffed by human beings who have the characteristic of addiction to might and profit. Under the guise of peace and friendship, they would only want to seize our beam ships to be able to exercise absolute Gewalt rule over the Earth with them. But they would also try to conquer the outer space because they know no bounds. However, they are not even able to on the Earth create peace and friendship between the countries, not even among the human beings in their own country. How then should they be able to have such means of might at their disposal, such as our beam ships and their multifaceted facilities represented? there is no interest in showing ourselves to the general public. Their consciousness is still short and small and confined in religious enslavement. On the one hand, the Earth humans would worship us as gods in their short reflection, as they did already in earlier times, and on the other hand, there would be many among them who, as criminals and greedy Fomite ones, would seize our beam ships. But there are also those who are not to be forgotten, and there are countless, millions of them who would fall into complete hysteria and fall ill in consciousness. For these reasons, it is advisable for the time being to maintain contact only with individual Earth humans and to via them, slowly, let the knowledge of our existence and tasks become known and to prepare them for what is to come. We are no wardens or guardians of the Earth humans. We only feel obliged to them because our originators were their ancestors before they fled from the Earth as a result of self-inflicted catastrophes of some light-greedy ones and escaped to the Pleiades.
If extraterrestrials choose to entertain contact with humans of Earth, they do so with single individuals only, like they do with Billy. That means a lot of hard work and laborious tasks need to be fulfilled. The Plejarians don't come here for a nice coffee chat. Their mission is to help us in a discreet, indirect way, which they can do because of their shared history with Earth and our predecessors. As a society that is some 30 million years higher evolved than we, they are subject to strict directives not to interfere with a primitive culture such as our own. We may have heard of such rules in movies like Star Trek Into Darkness. James T. Kirk is confronted with the choice of saving Spock but risking to reveal the Enterprise to a local indigenous tribe in the process.
If utilized in a rescue effort, it would be revealed to the indigenous species.
Spock, nobody knows the rules better than you, but there has got to be an exception.
None. Such action violates the Prime Directive.
Shut up, Spock. We're trying to save you, damn it.
Doctor, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Spock, we're talking about your life!
The rule cannot be broken.
Spock! You all right?
Captain, you let them see our ship.
He's fine.
You violated the Prime Directive.
Oh, come on, Spock. They saw us. Big deal.
Breaking such a Prime Directive, in light of the negative consequences for the indigenous people, would be unthinkable for the Plejarians, for they strictly abide by their rules. Besides, they have shields that obscure their ships from vision as well as any means of detection. And what of the might of thoughts? The Force from Star Wars. Does that exist? Is it possible to move objects by sheer willpower, much like Yoda did in the Star Wars movie Empire Strikes Back? The Force in Star Wars can be compared to the omnipresent energy of creation. Our entire universe, even creation itself, consists of the purest spiritual energy. The belt of matter is merely 1 out of 7 existing belts that make up our universe. So yes, extremely highly evolved human beings are indeed able to move objects with their thoughts. We have all experienced certain premonitions before, feelings that try to tell us something. These are skills that have become pretty degenerated in our underdeveloped society because our focus, our entire way of life, is based on completely false principles with all the wrong priorities. The Plejarans are true masters in performing feats that appear to us Earth humans as wondrous miracles. The use of such skills against other life forms would cause major harm to the assailant, which is why the Plejaran always strive for a neutral, positive state. This balanced, neutral, positive state should be the ultimate goal of Earth humans. The time has come for mankind to eventually drop their ego and their insatiable craving for material goods and strive for evolution of the consciousness. For we have the choice. Do we want to bash our heads in for another few hundred years? Or do we prefer a Star Trek future where everyone is able to evolve and we search for new worlds?
Mr. Sulu, take us out.
Aye, Captain.
So you see, there's an astonishing amount of similarities between sci-fi pop culture and the abilities of actual extraterrestrials. But it does go to show that we Earth humans have a long way to go yet before even remotely closing in on their development. Find additional information in the description below. Subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, like, comment, you know the drill. See you soon when we once again reveal what school won't tell you.